AITA for telling my parents I am not going to help them out ever again and they are now on their own? I am the oldest in my family. I had 2 siblings. My sister died when she was 6 months old in a SIDS death. I was 5 at the time. When I was 6, they had my brother. From a young age my brother showed concerning behavior and over the years it only got worse. He is very destructive and angry and has been in and out of our local children's hospital for psych evals and behavioral assessments since he was 4 years old. The police have been called to our house many times before to help get him under control. He has never been formally diagnosed, but he was medicated a few times to sedate him and try to curb his outbursts. My life was on hold because of all of this. I was not allowed to have friends over, I was not allowed to attend birthday parties until I was old enough to walk there myself. Money was tight and it meant sacrificing a lot. I was 9 when I last celebrated my birthday with my family, and once I hit 9 there was nothing again until I was 13 and considered old enough to do something with my friends without adult supervision. And even then I had to ask for no gifts because anything I had was broken by my brother. It was a nightmare. My parents would often leave me in charge so they could get a break, and then my life was hell. Once I was around 12 I was considered old enough to watch him while mom got groceries, even though I was not old enough to go hang with my friends. By 14 it was hours at night. A few times even overnight. I was not prepared and our house was destroyed every time. And my parents would express disappointment in my handling of things. The best period of time was when I was 16 and he was placed in residential treatment for a whole month. It was by far the best month of my life in years at that point. It was hard when he returned, no better than he was when he left. It felt like my life had ended. I moved out as soon as I could and I have distanced myself from my family. My parents have tried to keep in touch, but I am bitter toward them for my childhood. And they are aware. They have made excuses for why they made certain decisions. Now they need my help. My brother has gotten worse. They haven't had any kind of a break in 7 months. They want me to babysit for a few hours or a night so they can get a break. I told them no. They told me they need my help. That's when I told them I would never help them again and they are on their own. They told me I was being unfair. They asked me how I could do this to them. AITA? NTA. He's not your responsibility and they need to get him properly diagnosed for services and perhaps look into a group home situation for him. They may or may not have made good choices for him as he grew up. It sounds as though they may have avoided making difficult choices, i.e. difficult for them. But they made very, very bad choices for you. You owe them nothing, and indeed if you helped them you would probably just enable the problem to continue. Maybe if left to their own devices they will seek an appropriate longer-term solution. I cannot upvote this comment enough. The brother is 13 now, and the parents have to acknowledge he's only going to get bigger and stronger. I'm sure they feel like their backs are against the wall, but their desperation doesn't give them the right to demand OP return to such a toxic environment. I think without him there, it'll force them to seek services they otherwise wouldn't. OP helping them would equate enabling the parents to let the brother spiral down even further. If they don't get help from OP, they will finally be forced to do what they should have done years ago. Get outside professional help. Anyhow, it's not OP's duty. They've helped enough. To their own expense. Not only this, but OP setting the boundary now sends the message that OP is not going to become his caregiver. If they're still contacting OP when they need a break, that means they haven't made any effort to build other caregiver relationships yet. Meaning guess who they probably have in mind to take over when they're no longer able. Your parents have done very little to nothing to alleviate the situation. Why hasn't your brother been diagnosed? Why don't they have him in therapy? Why did they emotionally abandon you for most of your childhood? This is a problem of their own making and they need to figure it out, not dump it on you. NTA. They have him in therapy, he has a psychiatrist. But a lot of the things thrown around, from my understanding, can't be diagnosed at his age or are incredibly hard to diagnose at his age. Like it can take years and even then they can change their mind because of his age. I hate that for him and them, but at the same time, none of that should be used to make my life harder. NTA. Every time I see a post like this where a child has clearly been parentified, my heart aches and I want to do everything I can to reassure you that you are not an asshole for wanting to take care of yourself when you've spent so much of your young life taking care of others far before it was reasonable to have that thrust upon you. I'm very sorry and sympathetic to what your parents endured with your brother, but that does not justify them taking away your childhood so they could have rest. They have taken so much from you already. You now get to dictate not what is taken but what you want to give. If you do not want to give right now, that is okay. That is healthy. It's you knowing and living by your boundaries. NTA. How could you do this to them? They're the parents. How could they do this to you? I hope you're taking very good care of yourself and finding joy in the world. AITA for not wanting sister-in-law to see my baby? My Sil can be a nightmare. She's exceptionally controlling and demanding. She takes control over plans and often demands we change our plans to suit her. She is also a liar who presents her side of the story in a way that omits key facts or downplays her own terrible behavior in a situation. Last year she caused a massive family argument because she took her mom's phone and read her private texts. She used information she'd found out to make shitty Facebook posts and just cause drama. When confronted, she lied before later admitting it but saying she'd done nothing wrong because her mom had left her phone unlocked. No apology and everyone just agreed to move on. Her fiancé recently broke off their engagement. He's sick of her behavior, so now things are even worse as she seems to think that the family should make even more allowances for her because her life is falling apart. 2 months ago we invited the family over to our house. We said we weren't going to be eating, we were skint, but if people wanted to eat at our house they were welcome to bring takeout to our house and eat at ours. Sister said she wanted everyone to have a takeaway, so told my partner to just order a takeaway and that we should all eat together. He said no. She argued back and said she had been looking forward to having a takeaway at ours and she didn't understand why he couldn't just do this one thing to make her happy. He again said no. She was welcome to eat whatever she wanted at ours, as was everyone else, but we wouldn't be eating. This was apparently unacceptable to her, so she called their mum crying and said her brother had been horrible to her. Their mum is a very naive lady who instantly believed her, despite the whole phone fiasco last year, and my partner then received a message from his mum saying, "We aren't coming over now. I can't understand why you can't just be kind to your sister." He said, "How have I been unkind?" And mum replied with, "I'm sick of the arguing, I'm done." Then she left the group chat, along with the sister. My partner wants a quiet life and to just move on, so invited his mum round on Monday to see our baby, her granddaughter. She spent the time telling my partner that he needs to apologize to his sister because her life is hard. She then asked if she could take the baby to the shops and he agreed. Unbeknownst to us, she actually took our baby out to see his sister. When she returned with the baby I asked where she took her. She said the shops. I had a sixth sense about it, so I said, "Did you take her to see sister?" She admitted she had. I was upset that she took my child out to spend time with a person who is so toxic and who never apologizes for her actions, and that she did it behind our backs. I think I deserve to know who my baby is spending time with. I've said I don't want my baby seeing the sister until she actually starts to take responsibility for all the drama and hurt she causes. AITA? NTA, your Mill just lose her privilege to spend alone time with her grandchild. Agreed, and it is not even about Sil being toxic but being irresponsible and doing whatever she wants. BCS, she can always shift blame. Irresponsible Sil X enabling Mill X small child equals visit to the NTA, even if she wasn't toxic. The baby is still yours and you get to decide who they see. Honestly, I wouldn't let Mill take her out again. I would trust her. No. Hell no. NTA at all. You need to have a serious talk about husband's family and boundaries with your husband. Then you need to agree on punishments, when to go low or no contact, what happens when they go against your wishes minorly. You can't go on like that. Do it for your child. NTA, and if Mill isn't willing to follow your rules, then I wouldn't allow her to have baby unsupervised. I would be livid if my Mill or mom took my child to see my brother, knowing I didn't want them to have anything to do with him. You're being far too nice if anything. NTA. Your Mill is the one you should most presently be mad at. She lied about where your baby was. Your Sil sounds awful, but your Mill is just as bad. NTA. A big part of the problem here is your Mill. She raised your Sil and clearly has taught her that her behavior is acceptable. The "I don't want to argue about it" is a cop-out. It's a way to shut her son down and get him to pander to his sister. You don't need your Mill in your house stressing yourself, husband. Don't let this woman take you child out ever again. You cannot trust her. Also, I have to point out that it is super fucked up that none of these people offered to bring you a takeaway. What the fuck? They all sound awful and you'll be better off the less contact you have with them. NTA. I'm surprised you're even giving her a chance. You need to cut her out of your life, as I'm fairly sure this will not improve. Your mother-in-law needs to have clear boundaries set as well. Your lives shouldn't be at the mercy of these people.